Hi, and good afternoon from the Georgia-Alabama border here. Yeah. Wanted to pull over here and do this video real quick because it was actually haunting me about these people that say that God hates, and you know, I always uh, uh, narrow this down, you know, and kind of hammer them as to who God hates, and they're like, well, God hates sinners, and I'm like, well, you're a sinner. So does God hate you? And they can't respond to that, and then they're like, well, no, it's not all sinners, it's those that are unsaved. And it's like, well, okay, what do we do with Romans 5:6, where it says, for when we were yet without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly? So Christ died for people he hated? How does that work? You know, there's so much wrong with this Calvinistic thought. Their error is so great and so easy to spot. You know, Jesus' last words on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what. Forgive who? The people that put him there. Not the elect. It was the people that put him there, because they were the ones that did wrong. And yet Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So I'm just going to run through a couple of scriptures here, try to make this short and sweet to the point. Luke 14:26 says this, if any man come to me and hates not his father, mother, wife, children, and brothers and sisters, yea, in his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Now listen, we go back to the fact that my mind cannot process contradictions. It can't. So is Jesus telling us to actually hate our father and mother when we're actually told in the scriptures that we're to love? Well, now, which is it? You can't have this both ways. See, and these people won't answer my questions because they're a bunch of cowards or something. They're so deceived, they're so blind in their religion that they can't see the light. You know, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. And it frustrates the fire out of me when they don't answer questions. But they can't. They can't. So that's how Luke writes this. What's great is you know, we've got 4 gospels here, if you will. And these gospels are they mesh together like gears. Here's how I illustrate this. If you have 4 people who witness an accident, you're going to get 4 different versions, all of which are true. Because each person will relate to what they saw and heard. So they are the facts that got their interest, if you will, or their from their perspective or their point of view from what they saw. If you and especially if you've got them from on 4 different corners, you know, now you've got a 360-degree view of what the accident was. And when cops in an accident, cops don't want people talking to each other, because then the story actually gets clouded. They want everyone to stay separate so that they can go and examine them one at a time, and they can actually put together what happened off of those 4 eyewitness accounts. And so it is with the Gospels. We've got 4 eyewitness accounts here, okay, of the same events, only it's how these men, right, what they remembered and how they wrote. So let's look at how Matthew records the same event that Luke recorded. Matthew says it like this: he that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Well, wait a minute. So really, what we're looking at here isn't necessarily hatred, but it's loving less. And that is the same thing that we find with Jacob and Esau. When God says that Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated, it's not that God actually literally hated Esau, but what happened? Jacob received the blessing. And so let me put this in a different allegory. You have two children, all right? You give one child more than another, and the child that got the less is going to think that you love him less, or her. Okay, let's make this politically correct somewhat. But so you see what it's a matter of perspective. So because Jacob got the blessing, Esau was under the impression that he was loved less. Not that he was hated, because actually it's just the opposite. Because what is the truth about Isaac and Esau? Isaac loved Esau more than Jacob. And here's another thing. We go to Romans 9, and I don't want to get too far into Romans 9 because I am going to eventually get there. Before these children were even born, God had chosen one of them. Why? Because he loved him more? No. It was a matter of how he was going to use that child based on foreknowledge of what those two boys were going to do. Had nothing to do with God forcing them. God already knew down the road what those two children were going to do. Anyway, let me finish this up. Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 to 46. You have heard that it has been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good that hate you, pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. You may be the children of your Father which is in heaven, for he makes his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? Here's the bottom line. How is it that Jesus, who is God, not a form of God, is God in the flesh, Emmanuel, God with us? Jesus is God, not God-like, not sort of. He is God. And so how can Jesus tell us to do this, to love our enemies, and hate himself? How can he, how is that possible? Jesus would be found to be a hypocrite. So guys, it's not even possible that God literally hates people, because we know just the opposite. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. So I hope this helps. Thanks.